I just wanna feel like I'm enough. You will, you will. That I'll find a way to fuck us up. Nigga got me thinking I'm in love. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. You will, you will. That I'll find a way to fuck us up. I don't know why the fuck I'm even trying. You said you into me, I know you lying. I know I'm meant to be, I know my signs. It's only sunny cause the planet's dying out. It's dying out. I'm gonna die alone. If you don't pick up your phone, you will. Look, I got me thinking I'm in love. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. You will, you will. But I'll find a way.
Singles and doubles. It's fantastic to have you on here. How have you been?
I'm great, gentlemen. Thank you very much for the invite. And I've watched several of your interviews, and you guys do a great job. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
For sure, man. How's your trading been lately?
Well, it's I'm hanging in there. It's not 2021, at least not yet. It's been pretty interesting the first few months of the year, including today, as I'm sure you guys saw. But just hanging in there and trying to stay very disciplined and patient with everything going on in the market.
Yeah. It's different. I know there's a lot of people who joined the market in 2020 and 2021, and this is a brutal wake up call to all them.
No doubt about it. I mean, you've really got to have a plan going in, and it's just crazy. I mean, the volatility is amazing, which I guess in some respects is a good thing, and it's what you want, at least if you're a short-term trader. But no one's really quite sure where things are going to go, and I guess the key is that you can't really make any assumptions. You kind of have to wait and just see how it unfolds and then react from there. You can't, I guess what I'm saying is you can't get ahead of it, because if you do, you might get trampled.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
happened to me. I tried, so I thought, SPY was gonna do some funky stuff, and people were gonna rotate into precious metals and stuff. And I tried to get ahead of the curve and got just ran over. Just SPY pulled everything down. All my miners that I had were just yanked down, and precious metals didn't do what I expected. So it's just not the market to be taking chances like that.
Yeah, I agree completely. You got to just look at it short term and kind of take it day by day.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna ask you first, and then we'll go to Tony on this. But have you taken anything from the earnings reports, kind of the weirdness of this earnings season, as in maybe an outlook on SPY for maybe 2022 into 2023?
I think it's hard to really know what's going to happen. I mean, you've seen with a lot of these large cap names, including today with Amazon and Apple and Intel, um, that there is a almost a tug of war going on between short-term and long-term thinkers as far as what's going to happen with these names. And obviously, these names are big names that affect the rest of the overall market. I'm a small cap trader almost exclusively, but I pay attention to what's going on with the overall market and the large names. And even today, what you saw with Amazon and Apple, for example, where they just ripped higher during the session and then gave it all back and more, at least in Amazon's case. I think Apple is flat right now with the entire day. That's a 12-point move down for Apple. So what's that mean going forward into the rest of this year and early next year? I don't know. I mean, I think that people are waiting to see what happens with the rate hikes, and people are waiting to see what happens with the war, the inflationary pressures, China, and on and on. And so all these companies are being affected. And I think that what you see is people trying to figure it out. But the reality is, I'm not sure anyone can figure it out. I mean, you saw Microsoft get beat up earlier this week on the initial drop after earnings, and then it rallied back. You saw Netflix, which is just in free fall. And so, people want to play the bounce in a lot of these names, but I think you got to be careful, because if you guess wrong, it can be painful. A lot of these large cap names are moving like small caps right now. right? And so I expect it to continue going forward, but I don't know what direction. And maybe you guys do. You're smarter than me.
No,
I honestly, yeah. You
if
go
we,
ahead, Tony. You can.
I mean, if we knew, we'd be billionaires. I just think that this is something that Teddy and I talk about all the time. Like you were saying, just play it day to day. You run the risk of, like you were saying, getting caught if you try to pick a potential direction. It's really not worth it. It really isn't. And until further notice, I think it's just a day-to-day market. And, we go back to like October, November, and last year we were getting 3-4 point moves out of SPY. Now we're getting 14, 15 point moves out of SPY. So the volatility is through the roof. And I think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you're trying to swing trade, trying to predict the direction of the market. I think your best bet is just take what the day gives you, have no bias, like I always tell my Discord, and then move from there. It's kind of funny that we had that rip today on everything basically, and me and my buddy in Discord were talking, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna remember this day." I'm like, "Yeah, this is the day that like killed people that had any kind of bias." Because once things started to rip, how many people were like, "Oh, this isn't a real, we're about to flush back down," or "Oh, this isn't gonna last," and then they kept saying it for hours and hours. We ripped the second half of the entirety of the second half of the day, so you just can't have any bias, and you just have to trade whatever's in front of you.
Yeah, and I think you have to have a very short leash, because if you're wrong, that's fine. We're all going to be wrong many times, but you can't. If you're wrong, you got to get out, reassess, and then step back in later, the next day, whenever it is. But you can't just hold, because you're seeing, just this week, we're seeing. I mean, today the S&P was up 103 points. We saw a 100-point drop earlier this week. I mean, it's just crazy, And so if you're on the wrong side, if you're on the right side, it can be really fun. If you're on the wrong side, it's trouble, because it can accelerate quickly.
Yeah, I would say the only thing that I'm taking from these earnings is that we're probably going to be expecting next quarter to be, not as good as possible, not as good as they expected, going into the year for that quarter, because a lot of guidance is let out at the beginning of the year. And so it's possible that we'll see something like some analysts overcorrect, and then we'll get some beats next quarter that we normally wouldn't get. But other than that, I'm not banking too much on this being, an indicator of a bear market. Like a lot of people are talking on Twitter, everyone's saying like, "Oh, how many times have you seen so many of these large companies miss earnings in one quarter? This is the indicator of, these supply issues still going on, the inflation possibly, taking over and pushing our market further. We're going under 400 and all this stuff." That's the exact kind of mindset that's going to get you, squeezed out of a position real bad, and then end up, margin called somehow, or blown up an account, that kind of thing, which I'm not a believer in that mindset. I'm a believer in see what's in front of you and take it as it comes. Don't try to predict based on some stuff that doesn't have, long-term, proof that it works. But
Right.
we were, I think, was this last week, Tony? We were talking about Elon and Twitter, and it was actually the day where the news came out that Twitter rejected their deal. And me and you both said we still thought Elon was going to buy Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's buying Twitter. So, singles and doubles, you have any thoughts on that? You think it's actually going to go through? Because if it does go through, then Twitter's at a pretty good price for people to just take those shares and take them into conversion and make a solid 10% regardless of any up and down movement in the next few weeks. But a lot of people seem to think that it's not going to go through. What are you thinking?
I tweeted about this last night. I think that from a personal standpoint, I think it's great that Elon's trying to buy Twitter, and I hope he is successful. As a trader, I'm not sure. I think that the risk versus reward makes sense. If the stock's at 49 right now, 49 and change, and the deal's at 54.20, you're talking about a 5 point move to the upside. So like you said, a 10% approximate move, if it goes through, if it clears all the hurdles, which is going to take some time, versus what potentially, if it doesn't happen, will probably drop the stock. uh, I don't see personally that the reward versus risk ratio makes sense to jump in. I only speak from experience because I remember several deals over the years where you would think, oh, that's the arbitrage, that's that spread, and you can just jump in right now, lock it up. You're going to get a point or two. You wait a few months, but it's still a few percent. And not all those deals go to the finish line. Or if they do go to the finish line, there might be a haircut or there's a concession that's made. And so, um, I think someone's probably got a better chance to jump in and make a few dollars on the run up towards a potential deal happening than actually waiting for the physical end of the deal, where if successful they take the company private. Because I just think that there's going to be a lot of stuff going on there, and I think it's going to take a while. And so then you ask yourself, what's the time value of money to tie up your money for 10%? And there's nothing wrong with 10%, but it's not a guaranteed 10%. So I'm not going to step into that. I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah, I think I second that. I think, from my standpoint, if the deal doesn't go through, I bet you they drop 20%. If the deal does go through, you're going to get that 10%. But there's a lot of downside. Even if news comes out that maybe Elon, something is happening, it's probably just going to drop on you like a hat, and you're not even going to have a chance to get out, do anything with it, hedge at all. So I would say risk reward isn't there. But I hope he gets it. I hope he makes some changes to Twitter that we've been hoping for a while.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where I think that you kind of separate out all of us trade, and so we look at it as traders. Some look at it as investors. Uh, but personally, aside from that, I think it'd be great if he got it, because I think it will make the medium better, for a lot of reasons. But as a trader, when Amazon did the deal a few years ago with Whole Foods, I don't know if you guys remember that. The spread on that deal was very small, on like literally right from the get-go, and it ended up sailing through and getting done. You don't see that here. I mean, technically this stock should be at 51, 52. It shouldn't be sitting $5 away right off the bat. And there's a reason that it is. And the reason, I think, is exactly what we just talked about, which is it should happen. It can happen, but it's not a guarantee to happen. And so, I don't want to park money there and just wait 6 months and see what happens. I'd rather just move on and let it go. If I miss the 10%, I miss it.
My money somewhere else. I can get 10% somewhere
Yeah.
else within a few days, and
Not
then
worth it.
move it somewhere else, move it somewhere else, move it somewhere else.
Yeah,
and in
I
that
mean,
time make 50%.
If you're waiting
or
for
whatever it is.
10% for a couple months, that's not very efficient. So,
Yeah, and if it was only going to take a couple months, I think that'd be one thing. I get the feeling, just reading what's in the trades, it's going to take a lot longer than that. Um, I don't know how they necessarily accelerate something like that. I mean, it's a big deal. There's a lot going on, and I think it's going to take several months. But I don't know what the time frame is. I don't think anyone does, and I believe that's part of the reason why, personally, my opinion is I'm just going to stay away.
yeah. Well, I had a couple questions for you specifically in terms of, I guess, your trading journey, whatever you want to call it. But the first question I had was, how long have you personally been trading, and maybe what kind of got you into the market?
So I've been fascinated by the stock market since I was a kid. I'm a lot older than you guys. I'm 57 years old, and I've been around the stock market for a while. But I really got active again back in late 2011, so a little more than 10 years ago. I had a full-time job, so I was an active trader, but I was still a part-time trader because I had other responsibilities. And that's really kind of what got me going again. And then in early 2019, I went full time. So I've been full time for a little bit more than 3 years. And that 7.5 years before I went full time, I mean, you guys have probably read my tweets over the months and stuff. And that was a tough journey. I never blew up an account, but I didn't make much money either. And really learned a lot of lessons along the way, mainly about myself psychologically, that when I was finally able to get control of that as a trader, everything changed for me as a trader. And so I'm pretty disciplined, as you guys know, but I didn't used to be. I used to take a lot of chances and hold too much size and hold too many positions and just make the same mistakes over and over and over again, really expecting a different result that never really came. It might come for a few days or a couple weeks, but ultimately those mistakes would set me back. And I just finally got to a point where I said in early 2019, if you really want this, which I did, I told myself, you got to change. You got to follow your rules. You got to have more discipline. And you need to do it every single day. You can't vary, or you're going to continue this mediocrity road that you're on, which I'd already done it for 90 months and I was done. So I changed and I held myself accountable. And, thankfully I do that every single day. I just hold myself accountable because no one else is going to hold me accountable.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
that's the truth too, and that'll lead into my next question. So what would your best advice be to somebody that may be struggling with discipline, not following their rules, continuously making the same mistakes? Was there anything for you that was kind of what really clicked, that you started to follow your rules, you started to be consistent, make money consistently, etc.?
Right. Yes. I was tweaking my rules. I remember way back in 2012 trying to lay out rules for myself. And over the next 4 or 5 years, literally into 2017, I was tweaking rules based on what I was experiencing as a trader. And so I was getting closer to the way I trade now. And the rules I use today, I had the 10 rules, and you see me post these on Twitter every couple of weeks. Those 10 rules I had back in 2017, but it took me another 2 years before I actually followed those rules. And so I started being religious about it in 2019. And so to answer your question, what I tell people, Tony, is first thing, you need to have some rules. You need to have a plan, and they don't have to be my rules or anyone else's rules. You need to have your own rules, and you need to follow them. And I see too many people who they jump into trading. They think it's an easy game. They think they have rules, but they really don't. They're too loose. They don't have enough. They're too vague. And so I tell anyone that asks me, do you have rules? And once you have rules that you're willing to live by, whatever they are, then you have to commit, in my opinion, to being non-negotiable with those rules. That's where it starts. If someone is jumping in with real money, trying to make a go of it, not just playing around, you got to start there. And so before the trading part comes, you have to have the rules and the willingness to follow the rules. And I just tell people, look, I mean, you're talking to somebody that did not do that for a long time. And my hope and my goal is that it doesn't take anyone 7.5 years to finally say, F it, I'm doing this,
Yeah.
And so that's how you have to start. And it doesn't matter what you trade. It doesn't matter if you trade small caps, large caps, crypto, Forex, options. It doesn't matter. You have to have a plan, and you have to be real with yourself. And I think that getting real with yourself is the toughest thing. I mean, this is a personal growth course, this trading life that we live. And you have to be real with yourself. If you make a bad trade or some bad trades, you have to be real and acknowledge it and analyze your trades and figure out, like, what did I do in the heat of the moment or not do that prohibited me from being successful? And am I making that same mistake over and over? And so I review trades still. I encourage people to review their trades, looking back. I mean, here we are now, we're coming up on the end of April tomorrow, right? And people need to have a plan for May, and people need to review their trades from April and see what worked and what didn't and why. So that's what I tell everybody, new or experienced, when I'm asked.
I think one of the other biggest issues with that whole, so you said it took you 7+ years. We've had Mitch picks on. It took him 7 years. We've had so many people on where they say, this isn't what like FinTwit makes it out to be. Like, it's taken me years and years, 5+ years to be successful. And I think that's one of the biggest problems is finding something like FinTwit or finding something like a Discord group where you're seeing people that are making money. You're seeing people claim they're making, thousands and thousands, millions of dollars. And that, I think, is a huge issue because people see that and they're like, oh, well, that I want to do that. And they don't realize that it takes years and years and years. And I think that's one of the big problems with FinTwit. And my last question actually for you is, how do you think, in regards to FinTwit, what do you think would be your best advice for beginners? Maybe they just found FinTwit and maybe how to navigate it, because there's a whole lot of bad and there's not that much good, as I'm sure you know. So,
yeah, it's a great question. I think that, when I'm in the Sapphire Discord every day, and I grew a lot as a trader when I found Sapphire, because there were some very good and are some very good traders in there. But there's a lot of people in there, and there's a lot of calls being made, and you have to learn, how to weed through that, and not jump at every single thing that comes your way. I see a lot of new people that they jump into a Discord, regardless of which Discord it is, or they're on Twitter, they're following a number of people, and they get FOMO. They want to jump at all these different potential opportunities, but they really don't have a plan going in. And so I've always said, you can, if someone makes a call on a stock that they think is going to move higher, let's say if you're on the long side, you can take that trade, but you better have an idea of what it means to you, regardless of what it means to someone else. Where's your stop? What's your plan? What's your potential exit? What's the reward versus risk ratio? All those things. And I think that you gain that from experience when you're in a Discord or you're on Twitter every single day. You learn who the real ones are, who the ones that maybe aren't as transparent are. You just learn that through experiencing and through following people. And it's hard to know that going in because there's a lot coming at you. I remember when I first, 3-4 years ago, I could not believe the amount of calls that were being made, all over the place. And you really had to settle in very quickly and make sure that you were staying true to it, because you can't take all those trades. You can't just jump around. So, but having said that, there are some very, very excellent traders on FinTwit, and I respect a great number of these people, and I've learned a lot from these people and continue to. So it's kind of like there's pros and cons to everything. And I think through experiencing it, if someone stays patient and takes their time, they will learn how to work their way through that maze. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a weird thing. Like, I just know from personal experience, and I'm sure you guys can will agree with this. Like, the biggest lessons I learned in the market were like from losses. And I know I have people that in my Discord where they'll be like, yeah, some of the best lessons I learned were from taking somebody's call on Twitter and it just absolutely tanking, and realizing that like that's just not reality. I can't live off somebody else's calls. So I totally agree with you.
To the nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've all done it. We've all done it.
Yep.
Learned the hard way, figured out, sometimes you got to just get back to the books yourself. Watch a couple of YouTube videos, learn some stuff rather than listen to John, Dick, and Harry over there who's spouting out 10 tickers a day or whatever it is. But there's, like Singles and Doubles said, there's some great people on FinTwit. I've met a lot of them. I've talked to a lot of them. Real traders out there who are actually trying to help.
Yeah, and you know what? Trading is tough. And anybody that says it's easy is lying. There's nothing easy about this. It may be easy one day or another day, but to do it consistently and make money, it's tough. This is a tough game. But it's a very rewarding opportunity that anybody from any background can do if they are willing to stay with it and pay their dues and move forward. And so I am grateful for all the people that I've met on FinTwit. I have gained a lot more from FinTwit than the times when I've been frustrated by some of the things I've seen on FinTwit, in the areas of transparency. But overall, I look forward to being on FinTwit every day because I think that I can benefit and hopefully I can give back. I mean, the single biggest reason I'm on Twitter and tweet as much as I do is to try and help other people. I mean, I try to give back. It's not for an ego stroke for me. It's to help others hopefully not go through the same thing I went through, because I didn't necessarily have someone like that was drilling the same thoughts into my head about rules and discipline and the things that really matter if you're going to become a successful trader. And so I look forward to doing that every day. And hopefully that makes a difference for some people, because if so, then it's all worth it to me.
Yeah, I'm sure that you are, because I see people that have DM'd me that are saying, "Yeah, you got to check out this Singles and Doubles guy. He's changed the way that I trade." So I'm sure that you're hitting a lot more people out there than you can imagine, because sometimes they won't, DM the person. They'll DM somebody else, just be like, "You guys got to check this guy out. He's the goods. He's got the rules and all the good psychology stuff that you guys need to know for trading. It's helped me a ton, all that kind of stuff." So kudos to you for helping people out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Kind of a side note here. I got a little fact for you guys that I saw. The Elon and Twitter deal is worth more than Biden's green plan. Did you guys know that?
No.
It's worth more than it?
Wow.
What's up?
You said it's worth more than it?
Yeah, so the Twitter deal is worth more than Biden is trying to put into or whatever the American government is trying to put into the green plan to help save our world as it's dying. I think that's hilarious.
I saw well, that's kind of funny considering Elon Musk is like very progressive in terms of like doing everything he can to and like better the earth, I guess. Also, I saw something that Biden absolutely hates Elon. Like,
really?
I forget what it was. Maybe he doesn't hate him. Maybe it's just some like government thing, but he was talking about like the top EV players in the world, like the car industry, and he talked about it like 4 or 5 times, and he would not say Tesla at all.
He doesn't even know they exist.
That's probably true, but like he would not acknowledge Tesla. So is it? I don't know. Is it like the government? Is it?
I just I was sitting in my chair flabbergasted that Twitter deal is worth more than our government is going to put into, I don't know, saving the fucking earth.
Yep.
It's just so like, oh my gosh, that's one company out of so many companies. Like how many companies could just be liquidated and that money could be used to just absolutely, I don't know, but that's a stupid thought, but it's just crazy to me to think about that.
Yeah. That's
is what it is.
But it's not surprising.
Yeah, no, it's not. Singles and doubles. I saw that you were tweeting about Ja Morant. I don't know if I'm butchering his name, but The Grizzlies basketball player. You an NBA guy?
I'm a big sports fan. All sports. Right now, I'm enthralled by the NBA playoffs. I'm watching a lot of the games. How about you guys?
I'm a miserable Sixers fan.
You know what? You need a W tonight.
We need to lose the series and blow the team up, I think, is what we need to do.
Oh, wow. Well, you don't want to do that after a 3-0 lead, right?
Well, I never really liked the Harden trade. I like Embiid and Maxey. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. All my sports teams, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm a Yankees fan. They're all.
You guys have had good years though during your life.
Yeah, but I don't know. My sports
Keep
teams
the
are
faith,
suffering.
man. Keep the faith.
Who do you like?
In the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I really enjoy watching Golden State play. I enjoy watching Phoenix play.
Yeah.
I like the up tempo, but it's up for grabs this year. I mean, there's no clear cut favorite, so we'll see.
What about football?
NFL football.
Yeah.
I'm a Steelers fan.
Oh, there we go.
Crap.
Who do you think we're gonna
Is
take
Mitchell
tonight?
Trubisky the answer?
No, I don't think so.
Teddy keeps making fun of me because of that.
I keep giving him shit because I'm like Mitchell Trubisky was like kind of like the made fun of quarterback in the NFL when he was on the Bears, and then the Steelers are all like, "Let's get me some Mitchell Trubisky."
Yeah,
I
the
just think
draft
that's
is tonight,
hilarious.
right? The draft's going on here
Tonight.
in a little while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right after we finish filming this.
Teddy, tell him who you
Draft
like
day.
though, so he can make fun of you.
Oh yeah, I'm a Rams fan.
No, you're not. You're a Vikings fan.
I'm a Vikings fan.
Well, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, the most average quarterback of all time, just got extended, so I get to watch more years of us going 8-8 every single season.
They're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, for no reason. For absolutely no reason. We could draft a quarterback and get the same level of play in like 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm also a Bucks fan though, but I gotta give a disclaimer. I wasn't a Bucks fan until like 4 years ago when Giannis was there because I didn't have an NBA team, and everyone was like, "This Greek dude is gonna be really good." So then I became a Bucks fan. So I do have one team that does pretty well.
Yeah, you had an enjoyable season last year, and you may have another one this year.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We got Chris Middleton's out for the Celtics series, and I'm scared of the Celtics right now. They're on a roll.
Celtics are good.
That's going to be a great series.
I agree. I said it was probably going to be like the Nets series last year with the Bucks, where it goes to Game 7 overtime, 1 foot on the line, 2-point, instead of a 3-point, sends it to overtime, some crazy stuff like that. The first question we had for you, based around your trading, is what's kind of your main trading strategy? What would you say is your go-to on a daily basis, weekly basis to make you money?
I like trading dips. And I have a set strategy I use for that, which really involves buying a dip after their support or when I perceive their support. So I like to wait for 2 or 3 candles on the 5-minute chart with volume to try and confirm that support. And if I get it, then usually I'm going to step in. If the chart signals that, but the volume's not there, I don't step in. So I need to see volume because without volume, you're risking catching a falling knife. But I like dip buying. I do it a lot, except late in the day. I will not do it late in the day. Late in the day, I like to buy breakouts. And so I'm looking for breakouts if I'm making any late trades at all.
What I actually I had a question quick. So I know you said at the beginning you primarily trade or exclusively trade like pennies and small caps and stuff. What have you been doing in the current market? Just like playing momentum stuff, or?
Well, in the current market, it depends on what day it is.
Yeah.
When the market's really poor, I'm making very few trades. And if I do make trades, my stop loss is even tighter than it normally is because things are bad.
Yeah.
And so you can't fight the trend. Even with small caps, when you're looking at the overall trend of the market, it matters. But if I see, for example, the Russell getting hit if I step into something, I have to tighten my stop more often than not. And so I just try and pick my spots. And I may have to sit around for a while. But usually, we'll find something to play, uh, or two or three or five. But you got to be patient. I mean, it's not robust. When the IWM broke down below 210, which was support several months ago, you look right now, it's under 190. And so that's another 10% drop. And yet it doesn't go straight down and it doesn't go straight up. And so there's interim periods each day and each week when there are opportunities. You just have to be very strategic about it. And most importantly, you have to have rules. And as you guys know, I'm all about defense. So that's first and foremost for me. I just will not violate a stop loss that I set for myself ever, because that's trouble.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have that's kind of based on what you said just a few minutes ago is, when you're buying these dips, are you trying to buy, so like let's just say we're talking a momentum gapper, that's one of those penny stocks, less than $5. Are you buying, say, like a dip, it runs and then it dips like all the way down and you're looking for it to have three candles of support, somewhere 25% removed from the peak? Or are you buying dips where it's moving and then it's three candles where it's 5% down and it's just a bitty pullback here? What's your definition of those dips that you're looking for?
Well, I have a watch list of 65 stocks, and it's a fluid watch list. So every day I'm putting stocks in there, I'm taking stocks out, and the watch list consists of stocks that I've traded before, that I might want to trade again, stocks that are in hot sectors, or stocks with recent catalysts. So that's where it starts for me. So I have this watch list of 65 stocks. If I wake up tomorrow and I see a stock that's not on my watch list that's ripping higher, right? Parabolic move. I'm not sure I'm going to wait for it to pull back and want to jump into that and all that stuff. I mean, I don't really like to go into the crowded trades like that, because a stock runs from $2 to $4 and now it's selling off and it's down at 280. I'm not sure, even if the chart looks good, I want to go there and play that. Particularly if I don't know the name. So what I'm primarily looking for on my watch list is, I know what I want to see with price and an idea of volume initially, to have that stock be something on my watch list that I feel I might want to trade. If it's on my watch list and it hits that initial criteria, then I'm pulling up the chart and I'm monitoring it very, very closely. And if I get what I want as far as that dip and the volume that I'm looking for, once I pulled it up, then I'm probably going to step in and make that trade. And so it all depends. My watch list, a lot of the stocks on the watch list I told you about are stocks I've traded before, or stocks that I'm somewhat familiar with. I'm a little more cautious if I've not ever heard of the name. I'll usually take a smaller position if I step into it. But I read a lot of press releases also. And so I might wake up tomorrow and see a press release on a stock that I'm not that familiar with, and it might make my watch list right then. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it gapped up huge and then made my watch list. So, a lot of people are chasing after these massive runners because they have volume. And I get that. I'm not necessarily that guy, because I'm always afraid of, still buying it up too high, even after a sell-off. Which could go down further. I'd rather try to be early on something than late on something. And oftentimes when something has flown higher and sold off, even if the formation looks good on the chart, I still might just stay away, because there's just a lot going on there. And I was not early necessarily. I was in after a parabolic move to begin with,
Yeah. I see you talk a lot about psychology on Twitter. What would you say maybe are some of the top psychological tips for trading, or some of the bigger foundational things about psychology that you think help when it comes to trading?
Well, thank you for that question. It's my favorite topic. I think at the core, there's two things that can kill a trader. There's fear and there's greed. And I relate it to a pendulum where you have fear on one side and greed on the other. As a trader, you want the pendulum to be as close to the middle as possible, right? You don't want it swinging back and forth in either direction. I mean, we all know what happens with greed, where people have FOMO and ego, and they're something's running and they just won't take a nice trade because they want more. And we hear stories every day about greed, but fear is just as bad, because oftentimes someone will see something set up, but because they're so fearful, they don't pull the trigger and make the trade. And so neither one of those things is good. And so I think that as a trader, you have to really work hard on your emotions. And people say, well, look, yeah, I get what you're saying, but how do you do that? Well, one way that I think that people can do it is by sizing down. Take fewer shares, put in less money, so that you can continually go through the process over and over of executing the full trade. Whether it works or whether it doesn't, you can ride it through without feeling like, oh, I'm holding 12,000 shares of this. I wish I only had 2,000 shares, or whatever it is, whether it's too many shares, too much money relative to what you would normally put in. You have to grow from experience. And so that's the first thing. I think people have to get comfortable going through the process of the trade. Oftentimes you see someone who says, well, I sold too early, or I sold too late, or I did this, or I didn't do that. And usually the size of the shares they have, the size of the position rather, is the biggest reason why. Because look, if you're in something small, right? We've all been there. You're holding something small and you're like, you know what? I think you can go here. Here's my stop. I'm going to ride this thing out, because really it's not going to make that big of a difference one way or another. So you ride it out. And people don't do that very often. They just jump in with too much size, and they get fearful. They get scared, or when it starts to go, they get greedy. And so those psychological aspects are huge. Second thing I would mention is, and you guys have seen me tweet this many, many times, it's my number one rule. Anytime you enter a trade, you better know before you take that trade where your stop is if you're wrong. Now, you might say, well, that's not really psychological. I think it is, because when you know that, you don't have to think. Your mind doesn't jack you up and mess with you when you're in the trade in the heat of the moment. You already know, I bought the stock at 190, and at 177, I am selling. If it hits that, there's nothing to think about. There's nothing to talk about. I've already pre-planned this out. I'm gone. And that is a big psychological thing. When I'm in trades, this made a huge difference for me. I don't have to think about what I'm going to do on the downside. The upside, I could do a number of things depending on what's happening with the volume and the chart and stuff. But on the downside, nah. I know that if I've gone into the trade with my stop and it doesn't work, there's only one thing to do: sell.
Yeah, that's something.
Your head will mess with you. It'll tell you, there's still a chance it'll bounce. Oh, what if you just average down a bit? You have a little bit of money to average down with. Your head will always tell you, like, oh, just you're not wrong. You're just not waiting long enough. You're not wrong. Just wait a little longer. Just average down. I always tell people that's bullshit. I always tell them, don't let those emotions creep in. If you have a plan before the trade, like, stick to that 110% when it comes to that level of stop loss. Don't let your emotions get the better of you there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw my feed today, but I bought ARK this morning. I've never bought ARK, Kathy Wood's ETF. I've never bought it before, ever. I watch it all the time. I've never bought it. Today I decided I'm going to take a flyer on it, and I tweeted it out. I said, this is not a typo, which some people thought was funny because they figure like I would never trade ARK, but I did, because I actually think there's going to be a pop there. But when I did, I said, I'm giving this $1 a share. I think I bought it at 49. I said my stop is 48. And when 48 hit, I was gone. And after that, it dove down to 45 or 6 or something. Then it came back, and I don't even know where it finished. But for me, it was over. When I bought it, I didn't say, oh, well, let's see what happens with the market and this and that. No, I was giving it $1. I got stopped. I was gone. I started the day red, but because I had the stop there, I was able to recover with other trades, and I had a nice day, and it was just a nice green day, you know. But I'm not going to sit there and second guess it. Once I thought it through, I knew where I was going to exit when it hit. I just sold. That was it. And I think that most people need to learn to do that. All people need to learn to do that, but most people don't do that because, like you said, they just get in their head, and you can always convince yourself to do something different, right? We know that, but as a trader, that'll kill you.
I agree. Do you have any favorite long-term holds?
No,
No?
I
None?
I I don't hold anything long term. Now my wife is an investor. She's not a trader, and so she's holding blue chip stocks and has been for several years. But I don't hold anything. I'm a short term trader. I'm a day trader, or I might hold something for a few days if I really like it for whatever reason. But no, I do not. I do not like to swing trade. Years ago, I was a swing trader. Um, Most people know that I was primarily a swing trader. I would day trade, but I was primarily a swing trader. And what I noticed, I did an evaluation several years ago, looking at all my trades dating back for many, many months. And what I found was most of those trades opened up the next day red, and some would bounce, and many would not. And it was staggering how many stocks opened red, and I just got sick of it. I got sick of that, and I just decided, you know what? I want to day trade. The other thing is, as a small cap trader, swing trading is real tricky because a lot of bad things can happen when the market's closed, and some good things can happen too. But there's a lot of shenanigans that can take place with small caps, and so I decided a few years ago that I want the majority of my risk to take place when the market is open, not closed. And the reason for that is because A, I trade small caps, and B, I want to sleep at night.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like swing trading options. I can't even do that anymore because I would wake up at like 3 in the morning and be like, "Is it market open time yet?" And like just couldn't go back to bed or anything. But Tony, you got any long term stocks that you're eyeballing at the moment?
Um, that I'm eyeballing, yeah. There's quite a few, a lot of blue chip stuff. I really like AMD, Nvidia. I love Apple. But those are things that I've just been trading every day. I love SoFi. I know we talk about that all the time. I still love things I've loved a year plus ago, Gevo, AMTX. Those are things we talk about all the time. A lot of the psychedelic stuff, but Ford I like, but it's just not worth it, I don't think, for me. I mean, because who the hell knows? I mean, I look at SPY every night, and I see scenarios where we end up around like 350, 300. So, last week I was talking to my Discord, I'm like, guys, I'm seeing like 410 on SPY, 400 on SPY, and this, me and my buddy were talking last week, and I think we got pretty damn close, like 410, 411, 412 on SPY, and then I was talking to 400 breaks, like there's scenarios where we end up all the way down at 300, so for me it's just simply not worth it, because if that scenario plays out, you got to think about where everything else is going to be.
Exactly.
So I'm not adding anything long term right now. It's simply not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got my long term list. I don't have positions in anything because I'm not willing to risk that downside like you were talking about. Because if SPY goes to 350, then these stocks are going to take a 25% haircut at the minimum, most likely. So I'm watching stuff like, I really like Netflix as a company. I think they have good fundamentals. Obviously, not recently, but that's the reason I'm interested, is because of how much they've fallen. I really like POW, POWW, an ammo company. I think ammo is going to be really big, probably 5 years into the future. I'm really hot on AMTX and Gevo, the biofuel companies that Ant mentioned. I really would like some Ford by like 12,
I
10
love
bucks.
Ford.
I'd go pretty heavy in that, just considering the fact that Americans love their trucks, their big Ford trucks, and the fact that they're going to get, incentive to go electric, and Ford has already been able to actually roll out electric trucks. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere they're going to be building like 40 of them a day or 400 of them a day. One of those two numbers, they're very different numbers. So I apologize, but 40 or 400 a day of their electric F-150s, that kind of stuff. Those names, I'm really interested in just like IWM long term, XBI long term. If we can, get a bottom in at some point, which I'm not even interested until it breaks 400, and then even lower. I'll be waiting for some sort of confirmation of a bounce, because I haven't been sold on any of these bounces. There's been a bounce today, and I think yesterday a bit. Um, there was a bounce, a couple weeks back for a little bit more of an extended period of time, and I wasn't convinced on any of them. So you guys will know. You guys will know what I think when I tweet about it. Oh, VTGN. I've always loved that one. I think that one is a really, really solid bet long term. But yeah, I'm not buying anything until SPY puts some sort of bottom in, because things are too volatile right now and things have too much downside to even consider being a long-term investor. I'll just stick with option trading and small cap momentum trading, and that's about it for now.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a plan.
I do have a bit of a plan.
Once
the time comes, I'm gonna hit it.
I like it.
Yeah.
You got a plan.
Yes, I do. So singles and doubles. This is kind of my favorite part of the podcast. We get to just rapid fire ask you some of your favorite stuff, and then we got some weird question at the end that we always just find something funky to talk about. But here's some rapid fire stuff. I'll ask you a question. We'll talk about it a bit after you give your answer. But so let's just hop into it. What's your favorite food?
Sushi.
Oh, that's a great answer.
That's a perfect answer, to be honest. Do you have like a place that you go and get sushi from near you that you like a lot?
Yeah, there are a couple places, but I'm all about that. You guys?
Oh man, that's a good answer. I don't know if I can
Pasta,
top that, but I'm a good old burger fan.
That works too.
any kind of pasta, any kind of pasta. Yeah.
Are you Italian or something?
I might be.
No. Got a favorite drink, singles and doubles?
Alcoholic drink?
Either one.
I'm Diet Snapple. I'm drinking a lot of those during the day. But when I'm out partying and stuff, I'm probably having a few shots of tequila.
Dude, we've gotten that answer a lot. Tequila.
I know.
Really?
A lot of people like tequila.
That's
What's
surprising.
your favorite tequila? What do you got any recommendations? Because we've gotten that answer a few times.
I do not have necessarily a favorite. You guys?
Oh, I have mine right here, actually. I can open my thing.
Oh, man.
Moscow Mules. That's my favorite alcoholic drink.
You posted that today, didn't you? You tweeted that
Yeah,
out?
that was actually a mango one. I have it right here.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Mango Mule.
Look at that bad boy. What is that?
This one was incredible. I'd give this a 9 out of 10. It was
so
very good, and it's like 8% alcohol.
Wow.
Solid. I would say,
Old fashioned.
man, man, I like if it comes to just normal drinks, I'm a big like Diet Pepsi cherry fan, like just like Diet Dr. Pepper cherry. I like cherry flavored sodas. But when it comes to alcohol, I probably would say something like I like whiskey neat. But that's kind of lame. So I feel like I need to go for something a little better. I like
Wine.
Oh shit. What's up?
Wine.
Dude, I do drink a good bit of wine. I do drink a good bit of wine here and there. I like some good wine, some good white wine and then red wine. You gotta have a glass of both at night just to get the variance in there. But yeah, that's about it. What's your favorite place, singles and doubles?
Carlsbad, California.
That's a good place. I was just there 3 weeks ago.
You're kidding.
No, 100% serious.
Very
Love that
nice.
place.
Vacation?
Yep, vacation over. We flew into San Diego, drove up to, where did we drive up to? Solana, and then drove up to Temecula and just drove around a bit that area.
Nice. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome spot.
Yeah. Ocean. Great
Ocean
weather.
plus mountains.
Yeah, all of it.
Can't go wrong there. Favorite trading ticker?
Well, in 2020, that would have been Jack, Jakk.
Thought he was gonna say Jan. Damn it.
I traded Jan also.
Oh, there we go.
I traded Jack a lot. In 2021, I don't think I traded a ticker more than I traded Vizzle, VISL.
That's a popular one.
And this year I've traded Ellis quite a bit, ELYS. I traded Ellis a lot last year too, and I've traded Vizzle this year. So Vizzle and Ellis I've traded a lot, in, out, trading around a core. I really like Ellis. I'm a day trader, but I really like the story of what they're doing. And the stock is not performing recently. It's had some nice periods during that time, but it's a little bit off right now. I actually think it's going to be okay moving forward, but that would make me more of a longer term swing trader to say that. So not sure I'm going to do that, but I like it. But probably Vizzle and Ellis. I enjoy trading those.
Oh, we're kind of a bit of a Jan gang here. Me and Tony used to trade Jan together like on a daily basis for about a year straight.
Wow, really?
That was my favorite.
It would just pop probably like 7% at the minimum a day, just randomly in the middle with liquidity that we could somehow sell into.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I remember several times on I'd be in Sapphire and someone would post about Jan, and I'd look at it and it was flying.
Yep.
More than once. So you guys traded that every day, huh?
Oh, like 3 times a day. Like
there you go. You traded this year?
No, not this year. We haven't traded it. I haven't traded it since like September.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys broke up, huh?
Well, Jan decided to go do its own thing and break down pretty bad. So.
She decided to just have a little mental breakdown, and we had to cut her off. Sadly.
I understand.
I always think about The Office, the girlfriend of
Jan
Michael
gift.
Scott. Jan. That's what I always think of. Favorite band, singles and doubles?
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, that's a classic. You can't go wrong with that one.
No, big fan.
Favorite song from them?
I like Ramble On. I like Black Dog. Obviously, Stairway to Heaven. Whole Lot of Love. I just,
Too many
love the
to choose
group.
from.
Love the group. How about you guys?
Alice in Chains.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Can't go wrong with that.
My favorite band, they're called Chase Atlantic, but you probably have never heard of them. They're like
I haven't.
They're like how would you describe them, Teddy? Like indie rock?
Yeah, with a bit of like R&B in there. They're just like a fucking cluster of like a bunch of different genres,
Yeah.
but it's actually pretty good somehow.
Yeah.
They on YouTube? Any videos, songs?
Yeah, they're on YouTube, whatever. They're on all the platforms. I would suggest probably Friends by them. It's called Friends.
All right. I'll take a listen.
We're gonna need you to message us what you think, and don't be nice.
Yeah,
about
you
it.
need
If
to be
don't like
honest.
It, I want to see you just Tony,
Chase Atlantic.
that sucks.
Chase Atlantic.
Friends.
Yep.
I'm on it.
All right, last question. Are you any car guy at all? Do you like a certain car? Do you have a certain favorite car?
You know what? I'm really not a car guy. So I would have to answer that no. I don't have any pretty photos of vehicles to show on Twitter or anything like that. Nothing against anybody that does. And I know some people do it because they're very passionate about vehicles. That's not me. I drive a Hyundai Sonata. It's in immaculate shape. 2017. And that's my deal. It's a hybrid, and I like that because I fill up my gas tank like once every, 6 weeks.
Wow. That's
think-
awesome.
I think the biggest flex you can have with a vehicle, or the biggest like brag you can have, is if you get that thing's oil changed every 3,000 miles consistently for its entire life, and you keep that thing like up. I think that's the hugest flex. When people have like a car from like 1980 that they've driven every single day and they're still somehow driving it, I think that's cooler
Like
than
a
any
Honda
like
Civic.
yeah, for real. Like you could have a Toyota Corolla, but if you've like kept that thing up for like 20 years, I like bow down to you immediately. I'm like, that is absolutely nuts.
I got to tell you, I agree with you 100%. Total respect for anybody that maintains a vehicle, regardless of what you drive. If you take care of it, you can always tell immediately if someone really cares or not. You know, are they running the thing into the ground, or do they care about it? I care about my vehicle a lot. It's in mint. I take care of it, and so yeah, I dig that. I really do. And you know, I go to classic car shows and stuff like that, but I'm not really that passionate about it. I just think it's cool to check some of these, you know, vehicles out. So I dig that.
I'm a big Corvette fan. I really like their entire like transformation since the 50s. I really like those beginning 50s and then the transition into the Stingray. And then I even like some of their newer models like this year, last year, the past 3 or 4 years, but that's about it for me for like cool cars. Other than that, like I just need something that's going to get me place to place and something that I, might look at every once in a while and be like, I like that car. That's a cool, like nice car.
You like
that I have.
Broncos?
That's the car I'm gonna get. And I'm gonna do what I just said. I'm gonna go get that thing's oil changed, get that thing's tires rotated every 3,000 damn miles. That thing is gonna be going to the shop. And I'm gonna be that guy in like 25 years. And people are like, how is he still driving this 2021 Bronco?
Yep.
And I'm gonna be like, because I took care of it.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have that vehicle at a show. They're gonna say this thing looks like it's got 5,000 miles on it because you took care of it. And then you're gonna pray when you buy that Bronco that gas is not $5.50 or $6 a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you won't be going very many places on road trips in that Bronco.
Mm-mm.
Well, it'll be stuck in the garage all the time. That's how it'll be in mint condition. Is gas will be so high that I won't even be able to drive it.
You'll have a tarp over it.
Yeah, I'll have a bike.
That's
I'll
funny.
keep a bike in mint condition. All right, last question, last topic of discussion. This was something that I remembered talking about with my high school football team when I was like 16. So it's a very kind of just immature, weird question. But if you had a metal bat and medieval armor, do you think you could survive a bear attack? I want to go to you first, singles and doubles. I want your opinion.
No.
You think you'd bite through it?
He'd do something. I don't like my chances.
Tony?
What kind of bear? I guess
Let's go black bear. Grizzly's a little too big. I feel like Grizzly, he'd just chomp us like a tin can.
I feel like if you're gonna have any shot at all, it'd have to be against a panda. But
Or he's gonna be sitting there eating bamboo, and you're gonna go bonk him on the head.
But no, there's no shot. There's no way.
I don't think so either.
I don't
That's why
think-
I listed these other animals.
I don't think
I'm
I don't think
gonna ask you guys
a
about those.
bat could do enough damage. And
Not a bear,
It's not like
for
it's just gonna
sure.
sit there. So
He's gonna be on top of you, and he's gonna like literally just crush through you.
yeah, there's no.
But
way.
it was a 50-50 split on my football team. And these were like testosterone up 16-year-old boys who were like, I could totally take a bear if I had a bat.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, you guys are all crazy. Like this bear would literally just one bite and your arm would be gone. And then the next bite, your head would be gone. All right. Wolf, chimpanzee, gorilla, and jaguar. Out of those four, I think I could take a wolf and a chimpanzee if I had
wolf?
medieval armor and a metal bat. A gorilla and a jaguar are both still taking me out, but the first two I think I got.
Interesting. I like my chances with the chimp, but when you said wolf, I think of that one movie. I don't know what it was, where the people are out in the in the mountains, and the wolves eventually.
Was it the Revenant?
Well, that was wasn't
That was
bear?
the bear.
Revenant?
I know what you're talking about with the wolves,
Is
but
it
I don't
like
know
a
the name.
Liam Neeson movie?
Yeah, it's like a
with-
classic.
Yeah, and he's like, they all end up dying, because the wolves, tear him apart, and he's the last one to go, and he doesn't make it. Now they didn't have the metal bat and the medieval armor, but just seeing that movie and thinking about the wolves when they're hungry, that armor is, tin can.
Yeah, they got some strong jaws too.
Yeah, there's no way. And if you lose the bat, you're screwed. So
Right.
You got to hold on to that bat.
yeah.
The gorilla and the jaguar, I don't know. Don't like my chances there either. This is an interesting question. I've never thought about this, but I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
If you think this is
Gonna keep you up at
interesting,
night.
this is mild. This is mild
Yeah.
compared to what it normally is.
I didn't
Really?
know
Oh, yeah.
enough about you to know how far we could go, but sometimes we talk about how you wipe your butt. Just absolutely crazy stuff that we're not going to have you talk on, because wiping your butt is something that we don't like to ask random people that we meet on the internet.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I would say I think wolf and chimpanzee are the only two that I think I would even have a chance against. Gorilla, I think, would be probably worse than the bear. I think he would just hit me, he would over the head smack me a few times, and then
Yeah.
I would just be gone. But other than that, we're screwed. All right, singles and doubles. We want to thank you for hopping on here and giving some great information to everybody who listens to this on a weekly basis. So thank you very much.
Teddy, Tony, thank you guys. I've enjoyed it, and a lot of respect for you guys and what you do, and appreciate the time. It's great spending
Thank you.
an hour with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's good. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys, man. You guys do a great job, and I've watched several of these, and I love it. So
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so
well,
much.
Liquor got me thinking I'm in love. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. You were, that I'll find a way to fuck us up. Liquor got me thinking I'm in love. I just wanna feel like I'm enough.